Subscribe for more videos. Let's get started. The video contains full spoilers for the Phoenician scheme. If you haven't seen the film yet, turn back now, because this tale dives deep into every twist, betrayal, and redemption of one of the most audacious cinematic sagas in recent memory. It begins high above the Balkan flatlands, where a silver jet slices through the dawn sky. Inside, arms dealer Anatole Zsa-zsa Korda, played by Benicio del Toro, drinks something expensive and unbothered, until the calm is shattered. His assistant explodes mid-sentence. A hole tears open the fuselage, and the plane begins its deadly descent. Korda fights with his pilot, played by Stephen Park, then ejects the man mid-air before guiding the plane into a cornfield with reckless defiance. The world presumes him dead, but then the cameras flash. The smoke clears. Korda steps out of the wreckage alive, disheveled, smirking, and absolutely unrepentant. In that moment, a myth is reborn. In the flicker between life and death, Korda glimpses the afterlife, judged by a faceless tribunal, a jury of strange and powerful souls. They call him Mr. 5%, a nickname earned from a lifetime of skimming, bribing, and rigging deals around the globe. They say he's untouchable, but now, someone is pulling strings to take him down. A secret organization, led by the elusive and cold-eyed Excalibur, played by Rupert Friend, begins closing in. Their mission: bring down the Korda Empire once and for all. Back home, Korda's reunion with his estranged daughter is anything but tender. Liesl, played by Threapleton, has lived her entire life inside the walls of a convent. She's a nun, cloaked in faith and restraint, left behind at age 5 by the very man now asking her to inherit his empire. Zsa wants her to help execute his latest venture, the Phoenician scheme, a monstrous plan involving hostile takeovers, international conspirators, and labor camps disguised as factories. The plans, disturbingly meticulous, are kept in dusty little shoeboxes. Liesl refuses at first. She's not naive. She's heard the rumors that her father killed her mother. Zsa denies it. Enter Bjorn, played with peculiar charm by Cera, a timid Norwegian tutor, and Zsa's new assistant. Zsa runs him through a polygraph before letting him stay. He passes. And the journey begins. With reluctant Liesl and eager Bjorn in tow, Zsa sets out to meet the players of his scheme. But behind every handshake is a dagger, and behind every deal, a trap. The first shoebox leads them to Prince Farouk, played by Riz Ahmed, who saves them from a deadly ambush in a tunnel. Tensions rise as Zsa negotiates with financier brothers Leland, played by Tom Hanks, and Regan, portrayed with venom by Bryan Cranston. The situation devolves into an absurd but deadly serious game of HORSE. With basketballs replacing bullets, Farouk scores the final shot, somehow off-screen, and the deal is done. In a quieter moment, Liesl tastes beer for the first time. Bjorn watches her, clearly smitten. A flicker of something innocent glows between them, even amidst the chaos. Then, the visions return. In a spectral dream, Zsa is surrounded by his 3 wives. Liesl's mother steps forward, cold and haunting. She tells him something that shatters the illusion. Liesl is not his daughter. At Marseille Bob's nightclub, chaos erupts. Gunfire. Shouting. A guerrilla faction led by Sergio, played by Richard Ayoade, storms the club. Zsa, improbably, steps into the crossfire and takes a bullet for Bob. But the cash in his coat slows the shot. Bob digs the bullet out himself. He's moved, and he agrees to help. Later, during a blood transfusion with the enigmatic Marty, played by Jeffrey Wright, Zsa finally opens up to Liesl. He admits his indirect role in her mother's death. He's stoked Nubar's jealousy, knowing it would burn. Nubar, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, is Zsa's half-brother, and the man with blood on his hands. Zsa even confesses he never loved Liesl's mother. Liesl slaps him, but she stays. Not for her father, but for justice. At the next stop, Zsa pleads with his cousin Hilda, played by Scarlett Johansson, to marry him. It's a desperate bid to secure inheritance rights. She's repulsed but finally agrees, though she won't help close the financial gap. On the next flight, Disaster strikes again. The pilot is poisoned. A fighter jet shadows them. The plane crashes, and it is there in the forest that Bjorn reveals his true identity. He's not a bumbling tutor, but Agent Carson, an American spy working for Excalibur. But Bjorn has fallen in love with Liesel. He wants out. Zsa-zsa, furious, lunges at him only to fall into quicksand. Bjorn pulls him out, not for Zsa-zsa, but for Liesel. That night, around the fire, the three finally share something real. Pain. Regret. Loneliness. For the first time, Zsa-zsa is seen not as a villain, but as a broken man playing God to outrun guilt. They're captured again. Sergio's gang returns, but this time, the threat leads them home. Liesel reunites with Mother Superior, played by Hope Davis, who gently suggests that perhaps the convent was never Liesel's destiny. She's released from her vows. Back at the Korda estate, Zsa-zsa lays out the final plan. The investors will gather at the Desert Palace Hotel. He'll present the Phoenician scheme, marry Hilda, and seal his legacy. Or so he thinks. The final shoebox brings them face to face with Nupar. Tension cracks the air. An assassin tries to intervene, but swallows cyanide before giving up any names. When they finally sit across from Nupar, he denies being Liesel's father, but confirms that her mother had an affair with Zsa-zsa's assistant. That man, it seems, may be her true father. But no one knows for sure. Zsa-zsa decides to cover the financial gap himself. It'll ruin him, but it's the right thing. He vows to pay his workers. To finally stop fiddling the contracts. It's a stunning reversal for a man who built his empire on lies. And then Nupar confesses. He was the one behind the assassination attempts. The brothers brawl, vicious and bloody. Nupar tries to kill Zsa-zsa with a poison capsule but fails. Moments later, high on rage or poison or madness, Nupar climbs atop a model of the Korda Dam with a live grenade. He hesitates, then explodes. Just like that. Gone. In the afterlife, Zsa-zsa walks beside Liesel. She no longer questions his paternity. He may not be her biological father. But he's her father now. With the empire crumbled, the next chapter begins. A modest restaurant. Chez Zsa-zsa. Liesel writes one last letter to Mother Superior. Her brothers are finally happy. Hilda annulled her marriage and started a wilderness camp. She returned the ring, which Bjorn uses to propose to Liesel. She says yes. At night, after closing up the kitchen, Liesel and Zsa-zsa sit together playing cards. A father and daughter at last. No bombs. No schemes. Just peace. The Phoenician scheme was over. But the healing had just begun. Stay subscribed for more videos.